"What's this?" said the librarian, flipping through the notebook. "From the titles of the stories in here, I would guess this belongs to Sam, our mystery author. He's written so many books, and yet we've never had the pleasure of meeting him." "Let's put it back on your desk," said Tom, "so Sam will find it." That night, Sam climbed onto the librarian's desk to look for his notebook. As he hurried back across the desk, with his prize in his arms, the mouse stepped across an ink pad and left behind a trail of footprints. "Good morning, Mrs. Forrester," said to Tom when he arrived early the next day. "Did you bring some ideas for a story we can work on together?" "Not yet," said Tom. Then he noticed the inky marks on the librarian's desk and saw that Sam's notebook was gone. "Impossible," he thought. When he was sure no one was looking, Tom got down on his hands and knees. He peered beneath the library shelves and around the baseboards, not quite certain what he was looking for. Suddenly, he saw a little hole in the wall. Now he knew why Sam always seemed to write about mice. Tom tore a piece of cheese from the snack he had brought, and he left it by the opening. "Oh no!" Sam cried when he stepped out of his hole that night and saw the cheese. Who could have left it? He wondered. What do they want? Sam thought it might be best to leave the cheese alone and pretend he had never seen it. The next time Tom came to the library, he found the cheese, looking dry and lonely, just where he had left it. He replaced it with a peanut butter cracker. Maybe Sam will like this better, he thought. Indeed, when Sam awoke and smelled the cracker, it was all he could do not to gobble up the treat. Clearly, someone had discovered his hole. Sam hoped that if he ignored the food, whoever it was would go away and forget about him. But Tom did not forget about Sam. He thought about writing a letter to the library mouse, but he wasn't sure what to say. Then he got an idea. He sat down and started to write a story. It was called The Shy One, and this is how it began. Once upon a time, there was someone who was very shy. His name was Sam. People seemed to make him nervous. The children at the library knew what Sam was like because of the books he wrote. But nobody really knew who Sam was, and that seemed to suit him just fine. Until one day... When he finished writing, Tom folded up the paper and left it just outside the little hole in the wall. That night, Sam read the story from beginning to end. Tom had discovered the one thing Sam could not resist: a story. Sam grinned. He remembered Tom as a regular at the library. "I've got an idea," he said to himself, then went into his hole and got to work.